So anxiety is really, really a big deal these days, not only because of people's personal situations, but because of the world. So anxiety, I think, is probably like the most popular topic that hear about and think about and talk about. So what are we supposed to do with it? Why is it being so imminent? Why is it so prevalent in the culture today? So here's the thing. The usual approach to anxiety is something like, okay, let me teach you a toolbox of coping mechanisms. So there are all kinds of workshops you can go to. You can have a seminar. You can do, a trauma-informed seminar. You can learn all kinds of breathing techniques, visualization, self-hypnosis. And those are all good things. I'm not saying that they're bad. They're really helpful and they're good things to know. At the same time, they give people an idea that somehow by knowing those things, they're going to relieve their anxiety. All that they're going to do with that is relieve the symptoms of the anxiety, which is good. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm just saying ultimately my goal is to help people get rid of the reason they have it, the cause, the thing that is bringing about the symptoms. Because if we get rid of symptoms, then what's to say another problem won't come up? Like if you stop, watching watching your phone all day, if you beat that and that's the end of your anxiety, but then you start overeating, and become overweight, well, then we've just transferred one symptom to another. So the real question is, how do we get rid of the reason the symptoms are coming up? That's the very important difference between the conversational hypnosis method and most of the traditional strategies. So I think knowing the strategies is super important, but I think it gives people a little bit of false hope that something is going to occur permanently, that they're going to get rid of a problem for good. What's really going to happen if you don't address the reason, an unconscious payoff, the reason you're doing something is for a payoff, right? If you don't address the reason that you're getting that payoff, then there's no real way to assure somebody that they're not gonna seek some other way to derive that payoff. So it's super important to investigate what's motivating the anxiety, what's motivating a person, how are they getting something out of that? That's what I'm interested in my questioning. So the way to get rid of anxiety in my books is to investigate it. The more we investigate it, the more we allow the client to explore their subconsciousness and come up with all kinds of both logical and truly subconscious reasons why they're holding on to their problem. The whole beauty of exhausting logic and allowing the conscious mind to be in on this process is because, frankly, it's always going to be there. So there's no need to necessarily tease apart consciousness and subconsciousness. I kind of prefer if I get to work with them together inside of the session because that's what will really occur in the client's mind. So by investigating anxiety, both the conscious reasons that a person thinks they have it and the subconscious ways that they express it, we start to allow the subconscious mind of the client to untangle these knots that have created the anxiety. So the investigation itself is very powerful because that is itself a foray into the subconsciousness that created the problem. So I'm not saying learning tools and techniques is bad. I have tons of them. I like to do breathing exercises. I meditate. I like to do walking meditation. I'm not in any way thinking that toolkit is a negative. Of course it's not. It's awesome. But don't replace actual work with the subconscious with a toolkit because that's a superficial band-aid approach. So the way to work with anxiety is not to think about what should I do about this anxiety because that's a symptom. As soon as you're buying into the client's story about it, we're in a symptom kind of situation. So don't ask that question, what should I do with this anxiety? Because then you're believing the client and saying that that's the real problem, but it's not. It's a symptom. So there's something behind it. There's some reason they have it. There's some reason they're carrying that. How do I know they don't know? Because why are they sitting in front of me if they know? They don't know because they're asking me for help. So I know they don't know, and I know that me investigating it is going to help them know more. And I also know that the investigation is going to create that fractionation that leads into trance, but that's for another video. So my answer to what do we do with the anxiety is ask questions about it, investigate it. And if you're not sure what I mean by that, go ahead and look on the YouTube here or wherever you're looking. On Instagram or Facebook is fine as well, although YouTube's a better library. And just look up the hypnotic interview because I talk about how I do that all over the place. So if you have a further question from this video, like, okay, well, what would that look like? What would that entail? Go ahead and check it out. There's more to be said about that. So if you have any questions about this video, of course, let me know. You know who I am, Dr. Maya Alpin. I'm not a medical doctor or a mental health care practitioner. Thanks for listening. This is Maya in Montreal, Quebec.